Hey, hello everybody. My name is Richard and we are about to start this exciting webinar today. It's 2 o'clock on the dot and I see a lot of our subscribers started to join. So first and foremost, I want to welcome you. This is a very interesting topic, very important topic for any marketer. It's successful email automation. So to get the main things out of the way, I would like to first and foremost introduce myself. My name is Richard. I am the founder of Vbout.com. We are a full suite marketing automation platform. So we help you automate your email sequences. We help you automate your social media, landing pages, prospecting, cross-channel marketing overall so you can increase your conversion and organize your lead generation processes. When I'm not building my startup, I'm actually building my community, our community in New York City. We have a very big community, about 4,000 members. We meet once a month and we discuss some of the latest trends in marketing. We discuss, some of the latest technologies. We have people pitch in and we share ideas. So it's a great community. Anybody who's in an area coming to New York City, feel free to join us. We do send announcements regularly on upcoming meetups. This webinar is going to be part of a series of webinars. So if you are interested in getting the remainder, which is going to be about 12 altogether, this is number 11. If you're interested, you can follow us on social media or you can go to our website and sign up to our blog. We are very active in all these channels, so you will definitely get notifications on these. I also want to send out a big thanks to my team who helped organize this. Our marketing team is very busy putting great content and writing up infographics and things. So overall, it's a collective work of 5+ people. Myself, we have Audrey Dotson, our marketing manager, George, Kelly, and we have Justine who works on the graphics. So it's a lot of work that we actually put into this to get you some of the best and the latest in what we present. And again, this is going to be part of a 12 webinar series that's going to be compiled as a full course for digital marketing. We'll be releasing this in the next 2 months. And if you're interested in becoming a digital marketer or if you would like to increase your knowledge in the field, this is a great place for you, and it's going to be free. So that's another perk of joining us. Anybody who has comments, please leave it in the chat on. There's a chat box under GoToMeeting, so you can leave your comment there. I have moderators who are with me, so Audrey will be answering you, and towards the end, we'll leave about 5 to 10 minutes for any Q&As. After this presentation, I might be showing you a little bit of what we have going on. We have a very good workflow builder, journey builder for email automation and journey automation. So I will share with you this small secret that nobody have seen before. I'll show you what we're building and we can give you early access to it if you're interested. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start with this presentation. This is the general table of contents, so we'll be covering a lot of important things, but let's get started. Just like I do with everything else, I always like to give a little history on things. Now, the history of email in general, and interestingly enough, the first email was sent in 1971 by Raymond Tomlinson, who was working as an ARPANET. As a part of his testing, he actually sent out the first top row of your letters on your keyboard as just a test email to see if it gets to the other end, and it did. Fair enough, 7 years later, spammers discovered that you can use this to advertise your product or your service and sell garbage, or sometimes, in some cases, good stuff. So 7 years later, spam was invented, or the first spam email was sent out. In 1982, the word email first was used, and the first emoji was invented, interestingly. I thought it was the first smiley face was with the Forrest Gump, but I guess it was via email. In 89, AOL Iconics voice recording You've Got Mail was heard. So that's, everybody remembers that. And if you don't, you can Google it. In the 90s, the popularity of email rose, so marketers started to adopt this to correspond with consumers and as part of their marketing. And from there on, obviously, we all know what happened with email. They try to shut it off now by creating chat and the evolution of chats like Slack and so on. But I think all these tools do is organize the way they receive email or the redundancy of email within certain tasks. However, email is not going anywhere. In fact, investments in email has been increasing, and email automation is definitely one of those new trends that companies are leaning towards, and we'll discuss that in a minute. So here are some stats on marketing automation and email automation in general. So email automation is only part of what the full marketing automation consists of. So you have automated prospecting, you have automated lead nurturing, you have predictive, which we'll cover. So email automation is only part of it. It's available within platforms that offers marketing automation, or sometimes you can just get a tool that all it does is email automation. So here are some other stats with numbers. So 60% of companies making more than 500 million in revenue are using marketing automation. The industries that are using it the most are software and internet, which is the case in most of our subscribers to this webinar, I think. Telecom companies, computer electronics, and then you have health and pharmaceutical. They've been leveraging this to the highest, this technology. 85% of B2B marketers are not using marketing automation to its full potential. This is actually an interesting fact. In addition, only 8% of companies surveyed are using marketing automation for existing customers. So we're talking about agencies and marketing managers and marketing, big marketing gurus. So there's a big untapped potential. And while we see this used in the United States very often, if you go outside the States, this technology haven't been quite adopted properly, and they're really starting to play with it. I think part of it is spam compliance in certain European countries versus others, and other places of the planet depends on other things to communicate. And not to forget, the internet in some third world countries is very bad, and people don't rely on emails for communication. So there's a huge opportunity now, and there's a huge opportunity for the future. All right, so what is email automation? So let's assume that most of us know what email is, email marketing is. Email automation is pretty much a layer that sits on top of your email marketing and generates email based on certain user behaviors and based on certain user interactions. So think of it as the most effective way to engage subscribers in a very well organized and timely manner. Now, they reference to email automation in different ways. Some people call them automated email sequences. Others might call them drip campaigns. So a drip is used mainly within the marketing world, and it means exactly what it does is that you're sending out this email by email, like a drop by drop as in drip. And this will help you establish long-term relationships in the future. So the way the emails are sent out, traditionally you send out one mass email and it stops there unless you continue doing it. With email automation, these emails are timed, so they are being sent across days or minutes or weeks or even months in some areas. So they're triggered based on time lapses and not one shot. They're fully automated, so you're not really doing it manually each time. You just set it up and you forget it. Of course, not forgetting to read the stats on it. And then it gives the marketers the capability to schedule email, because one thing that marketers suffer with is the lack of time. There's so much you got to do. There's so many things and follow-ups you have to do, you have to be on top of. Email automation solves a big piece of this time-consuming process by making your messaging very consistent and organized. And not to mention, it gives you in-depth data on the engagement and so on. So also with email automation, you can personalize email just like you would do with regular email, where an automated email to a random person at a particular time can include his name. So it's called instantaneous personalization. getting personalized on the spot, and you can replace values within the email based on on the person's information that you've collected. Nurturing is how and what you communicate to your leads, meaning the actual content that you're sending out, or the information, or the photography, or the links that you're sharing. This is the nurturing process. And then I think personalization is broken down into two pieces. So you have the lead nurturing, and then you have the lead scoring, which work hand in hand. So nurturing is holding the hand of the user from the moment they know about you to the moment they decide they want to make a purchase, whether it's with you or with another vendor. Lead scoring is a technology, and we've covered this in the previous webinars, technology that helps you score and gives users particular fake numbers, fake scores, based on the actions they do, and then you use these scores as benchmarks for you to trigger actions. I don't want to confuse you too much with lead scoring. If you don't know what it is, we have a full tutorial on prospecting and how to use lead scoring, so you can definitely watch that. But it's mainly a technology that takes part into this. Let's jump a little bit into the trends. So we've covered the stats. Now you know what marketing automation is to some extent. And I will help you with the journey builder see how it works after this presentation. So the trends right now are predictive automation. Predictive email automation will work with it as well. So what is predictive? You probably hear this a lot. A lot of people are throwing it around, and I'm not sure if some of these definitions even make sense. It's mainly revolutionizing B2B marketing and sales, and in some extent B2C in the e-commerce space. It's called predictive because it's predicting the future outcome and accordingly suggesting or tailoring the path for the user based on this data collected. And it pretty much adopts the same tools and tactics we have, but with an intelligence layer that sits on top of it. So if you think about artificial intelligence in some areas or some technologies, predictive automation have some sort of an AI in it that helps you trigger smarter messages. So the way it works, if you think about predictive automation, is you're sitting down and you're collecting thousands and thousands of different case scenarios of your users. Some of them might be going through 15 pages before they make a purchase. Others might be looking at 20 products before they actually add one product to the basket. And after they add that product to the basket, 100 people will actually check out 5 products. So the collection of these data altogether is very valuable from a marketing perspective to predict what things you will show on the screen in front of the user. Or it can even predict what is the best email that could trigger the best outcome accordingly. So all these smart algorithm, it takes part of what's called predictive automation. So you can automate your actions, you can automate your messaging based on these data that you've collected. Not you, but the system that you're using. So if you think about a user as a profile, and as soon as the user starts interacting with you, we call this progressive profiling in our case. We covered this last webinar. You start collecting data, pages they visited, time spent, conversion potential, landing pages, downloads, emails received, interactions. And according to that, you can create a journey for the user that fits that portfolio. So, the user profile ties in directly with predictive automation and predictive analytics, which takes us to the last part of the predictive, is that email automation can be a huge part of this. So, imagine that you can send a person an email only and only this email is meaningful to them. So you will never be at 100% on point of what you're targeting when you're using this mass targeting, and you have hundreds of thousands of customers. But however, you can increase your percentage of how close you are to the person's intent. So if you know, for instance, that the person is ready to make a purchase in that week, and you send them the exact email that talks about the action they need to take to make that purchase, that's amazing. I mean, that would increase conversion by so much that predictive will be the key for the future. And this is implemented in a lot of ways now in things that you currently use. So marketers will be able to tailor email messages to be more precise. So that's exactly what I was mentioning right now, is that the messaging could be really tailored for these people. Okay. So let's talk about some case scenarios at the industries that should use it. In my opinion and my team's opinion, everybody can use it. If you're B2B, B2C, small, medium, or large business, you should be relying on email automation because it saves you time, it is consistent, it gathers so much data, and I just covered this, that it's a no-brainer for you to set it up. Now, the biggest challenge for most of these companies is figuring out what they want to set up and at the same time gathering that content that's going to be part of that journey. I'll discuss this in a bit, but I want to cover some of these industries that are really leveraging this. And if you fall into any of these, I think you should definitely start working on your automation funnels. So the first is e-commerce, cart abandonment, meaning if you try to make a purchase but stopped, you will get a follow-up email telling you, giving you an incentive to make a purchase. Some people use this to get discounts. I mean, if you want to try, you're not in a rush to buy a product, add this item to the cart, wait up a few hours or sometimes a day and come back to it and see you might get an email with a coupon that you might be able to use. This is a trick that I'm sharing with you. We know this because we work with a lot of e-commerce companies. About 80% of them do these tricks. Upselling, as you're making a purchase in the product or after you made a purchase, you might get an email follow-up telling you, hey, you've purchased this product. You can actually purchase this product that accompanies it and works well with it, and then you're selling more. Upcoming product releases, in our instance, we send any future features we're launching, so that's good. And the feedback email, so once you've completed the purchase, you get an email back asking you to review the vendor or to leave a feedback on the product. The second category is the complex businesses that require a long sales cycle. So obviously, if, for instance, I'll take our industry, marketing automation, companies and agencies that are looking into marketing automation technologies, they might spend 1 month evaluating, doing their research, doing demos, kind of gathering their internal strategy before they make a decision. We don't know any company that needs to make a decision today and they make it instantaneously. So it's a long cycle. However, if I'm going to buy, a falafel sandwich, I'm not going to need 1 month to make the decision. So there's a huge difference between short-term cycle and long-term cycle. And that dictates, the frequency of your messages, how often you're going to send them, and the time lapse between them so you can nurture people properly. And then you have the multi-channel marketing, which is the case of almost every business these days. They don't rely on one channel of marketing. So how are you going to tie in social media activity with website activity, with landing page downloads, and as well with email? This type of relationship will require email marketing and email automation particularly. Onboarding are my personal favorite. As soon as I sign up to a software, the number one thing that keeps me engaged with that software is how easy it is for me to learn it. And because I don't have the time, sometimes I, on purpose, wait for their email onboarding so they could walk me through step-by-step of the things I need to learn. Or post sign-ups emails, when somebody signs up, if you have a straightforward product, obviously you don't need so much education. You can send them a few sequences of follow-ups, maybe showing them some stats of users who've used it properly, or maybe telling them how to use or how to hack it, or educating a little bit more about the industry. And then you have the event workflow, like what you see with Eventbrite. So when you sign up to an event, you might get follow-up emails 1 week before or 1 day before reminding you of that event. The third category is the personalization, things like birthday triggers. So you've received this, on your birthday or 1 week before or the month of, when you get an email from a restaurant next door telling you to come in and eat for free. Obviously, you don't have somebody sitting there all day checking up on their subscribers' emails. This is all automated emails. So you have suggestions and recommendations. Things like e-commerce that does that well, but also software like Twitter. So you might get a recommendation on tweets or profiles you might want to check out. Sometimes LinkedIn groups, or they used to do it well, where they sent more personalized emails based on your groups you're part of, so they would send you a topic of the day. And I think now Pinterest is aggressively using it, where they're suggesting profiles and they're kind of interacting with you via email. All that stuff is automated. And it's called, it falls under email automation. The last part I actually added this today is the growth funnel. And the reason that I want to add it separately is because we know that every business has a certain growth recipe that's going to work with them. And that growth recipe falls under a funnel that needs to be developed. Now, how this funnel needs to exist and how you should develop it is something that you need to develop with testing and with time and research. However, you can use email automation as an integral part of your growth funnel. We're testing this ourselves with our mass outreach for SMBs, and it's working miracles. We have email automation set up and is getting us daily conversions, just letting the emails do their magic. We don't really have to be manually sending out emails for these people. And also do the hack follow-ups, which I will probably discuss in another webinar, but it's mainly how you're gonna respond to people according to the things post the growth funnel action. Not to confuse you, we'll cover this in another webinar. These are 3 companies that have leveraged this to the fullest. So you have Meetup, Dropbox, Amazon. If you are part of any of these, you've probably gotten tons of automated emails from them. And most of the time, I mean, in my case, I think most of the time they're relevant to what I want to do or the actions I need to be taking. Quick stats on email automation. So remarketing within 12 hours shows the best results. Email follow-ups within 1 hour, for instance, generates 105% more revenue than 24 hours. 26% amongst those who were remarketed converted. So if you've never really followed up with those who bounced off your sign-up process, or if you've never sent the abandonment emails for your shopping cart, you're probably losing up on potential sale. Now, if you're talking about, one abandonment email, the stats might not be relevant to you. But now when you're talking about, thousands of users and you have 1,000 people abandoning your cart and now you can capture an additional 50 sales, now you're talking about big numbers. So you have end of trial conversion. So if you're running a software, for instance, and you have a trial, how you're going to capture people after the trial and before the trial ends. And this is by Groove HQ, 3 sets of expired emails converted by 2%. And that's a great increase. You're talking about people who would never have converted otherwise. So here are some of the top 7 benefits for email automation. I can think of a lot more, but we compact them into 7. So companies that excel at drip marketing generate 80% more sales and lower their cost by 33%. I mean, this is a no-brainer. If you're using any other way of marketing, or if you're spending so much time on manually sending out emails, this will save you at least 2 or 3 hours a month if you're doing an average of 5 email follow-ups per week. And I'm pretty sure your time is the most important asset to you. That's one thing you will never get back. And email increases conversion and lowers your cost overall. Now, event-triggered automated emails will save you 80% from traditional snail mail or whatever direct mail budget. So, back in the days, you send out 10,000 direct mail. I mean, a lot of you might think that direct mail is dead, but actually it's still alive and doing well in some cases or some industries. But imagine you're sending out 10,000 direct mail, and then obviously it stops there, right? How do you know who opened the mail? What did they do thereafter? that they read it fully, they read part of it. So these type of this type of action was never possible with direct mail. So a typical direct mail campaign might cost you anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 for like a 10,000 recipients at least. You will never have enough information to measure. So with automated campaign, it will save you at least 80% of a traditional mailing. And I think at this day and age, particularly with us, for instance, our pricing is so affordable that it will cost you less than $100 to run a 10,000 email campaign or automation campaign. So the third benefit enables marketers to spend more time crafting engaging messages to reach their customers, meaning now you're really fine-tuning existing efforts versus efforts that you want to be that you will be creating from scratch. Meaning, in our case, we created a set of 8 emails for our onboarding and other, as an example. We have a lot more than this, but I'm taking the onboarding as an example. Now, what we do is we refine those emails. We don't have to be recreating them every time. So it frees up our time, and we focus on mastering what we're doing. It increases your sales pipeline by 80%. That's actually a very good stat because email automation obviously alone is not a goal. Your goal here is to increase your lead generation, increase your pipeline output, and you want to deliver leads to your sales team. This will help you through the consistency, through crafting your messages properly, and saving time to deliver more prospects to your sales team if you have a sales team. It also allows better segmentation, more consistent segmentation, and messaging to your customers. And I'll tell you how this works, because in automation, you can actually move people from one list to another list based on actions. And this could be fully automated. You don't really have to touch anything. Now, if you're doing this manually, you might skip. Let's say I have 2 lists, one of them for interested users, one of them for highly interested. And I'm moving things manually from one to another, I could probably potentially make mistakes. With email automation, I can automate this process so it only happens when somebody takes a particular action or opens a particular email. I will show you how this is done after the PowerPoint. So the sixth benefit is personalization. Just like traditional email, you can include a first name. You can include the person, a person's birthday in there if you're doing birthday reminders. So that increases open rate. It increases, conversion, and obviously you can establish a little bit more direct communication with the person versus mass targeting. It also gives you in-depth analytics on everything that you need to know. So picture, you can see how many people are in your automation process, how many people are in the middle or towards the end, who opened, who didn't engage, what is your click-through rate. So all this data you gather here, you will never be able to gather if you're doing traditional mail, obviously. So the power of analytics is very important. And again, once you have all your analytics as a history, you will be able to leverage this for predictive email automation in the future. So how does email automation work? Technically, it's broken down into 3 main triggers. I'm going to give you here just a quick overview, and then I will jump into examples and the tool thereafter. So the main controls are triggers, filters, and actions. Triggers is what triggered the automation to start. You cannot just all of a sudden send out a blast of email to certain people. So a trigger could be a website visit, could be another email being opened, it could be somebody who watched a video on your website. So you think of these as the trigger, just like you have on a gun, where it starts the whole automation process. Now you have your filters, which you match against when you are going through the process. So for instance, you only want to target certain subset of people based on not only the triggers they've taken, but an additional layer of filtering. And then you have the actions, which is what happens next. You send an email today, email tomorrow at 2 p.m., and an email next week at 5 5 p.m. So these are the 3 steps to automation. And obviously you set this up and you let it run. Now different lists can get a different series of emails, because you can target particular email lists on your in your subscriber ecosystem, and then you can set it up based on the action taken. Email will follow up. Now this will allow for customization and personalized messages even more. So I think what I will do, I will show you a quick example right now. I think it's better if I put this within the tool to just show you vaguely how it's done. So we jump into an example. So for instance, we have a funnel when somebody signs up to the Vbout platform. So we created it, for instance, based on a sign up to a list. So this is where my triggers are. We have a lot of triggers that we can set up. Let's just focus on one example, like signing up to a list. Now, which list am I targeting? I can target one or multiple lists. In this case, it's a Vbout member. These are my filters, so I can enhance my filtering based on engagement, email address, values within fields, and so on. So that's fairly simple to actually add. If you want to get in depth of as of what you wanna, who you want to target. Here you start building up your workflow. In this particular example, 5 minutes after somebody signed up, I'm sending them a welcome email. 1 day later, I start my follow-up onboarding process. So I teach them about social media. I teach them about email marketing, creating pop-ups to capture leads. So you can see I'm sending them 6 follow-ups, actually 7, 1 welcome and 6 lessons. And this is done on a day-to-day basis. I'm not sitting there doing it manually. I don't have to worry about it. And I get tons of responses, and I get tons of email, telling me or asking me a question or responding back to these automation. This is, for example, my welcome email that I send out. I'm not really self-promoting. You can see I didn't put any links or call to action. I just wanted to have one-to-one conversation with the person. Well, in this case, an automated conversation. So this is our like little secret. I'm welcoming them to the platform. I'm giving them a quick stats of what our users have been able to achieve, and I'm also telling them I'll be sending them a series of video tutorials. So a lot of people use this. They reply back to me, and I love having these communications with them because I feel like I was able to engage them without spending a bulk of my time doing it. And again, every business can have different workflows, different triggers to use, but this is just a quick way of how you can set this up. And the actions here can vary. So you can have setting property values, sending automated emails, pushing to workflows, and so on. All right, going back to our presentation. So let's talk about 5 popular triggers that you might see out there. And there's a lot more, by the way, but these are some of the 5 most popular triggers that you might see. So first, you have the content awareness or educational content. This is great for companies who want to explore engagement with their clients, who want to establish credibility with their clients. So because you are an expert in your field, you probably know or can put together at least 8 to 10 different articles that talks about your topic. And honestly, if you don't know or you cannot come up with 10 topics on your industry, I think you're doing something wrong and you should go and pick up a book. But if you are able to compile 10 pieces of content, and to make it even easier, start with 5, that could consist or could make a small educational series. Now, you can include this in your blog, and obviously you need to write it, you need to proof it, you need to think about it. You have to put the effort in these things initially for it to be automated later. So once you've put this educational content together, load it up into the platform in a sequenced manner. You don't start with the most difficult tip first. Obviously, maybe you want to guide them through from the beginners to all the way through the last piece of your content. Load it up and give people maybe a landing page to opt in and get all that content little by little. So that's the awareness educational content. So choosing a subject is the number one thing you need to do, and developing your content and how you're gonna trigger this educational content. Now, obviously, you can organize these. I mentioned landing pages as a way to start this, but you can have pop-ups on your website, which are becoming less favorable, and I think Google is starting to penalize people on it, but that's another conversation. Then you have these opt-in sliders on the bottom of the page. You can even include like your blog signups. You can compile your 5 pieces of content into an ebook and have a more fully structured way of doing it, and then do follow-ups thereafter. In our case, we're doing webinars, so we're doing 1-hour series each over 12 courses, and then the webinars will actually start to follow up when somebody wants to get the full lesson. We'll send them one every week or something of that, like that, in that frequency. So as soon as somebody downloads that type of content, we can start the follow-up process. The second part is very simple. It's a blog subscribers follow-up or sequence. As soon as somebody signs up to your blog, you can send them a welcome email. And because they're newbie and they're just signed up to your content, you might want to educate them a little bit more. So you know that they're early to your product or to your service, and there's certain follow-up emails you might want to put in there. I mean, some people describe, for instance, what they will get from the blog, and if they want to get more, they could click here because you have a free course or something of that nature. Again, every business is different, but in general, it's the blog subscriber trigger. So as far as the third workflow is the new customer workflow, and I briefly showed you this in what we do for our clients. But obviously, every business have different needs. So some software might offer 30-day free trial. Other software might charge you immediately. So when you are onboarding new customers, in the case of software that is, you might want to tailor your messages differently based on paid versus unpaid. If somebody's evaluating a trial, if somebody's on the free version of your software. So how do you nurture these people to kind of get them through to a certain point where they're going to make a purchase is the magic of the of email automation, and of course it's related to your business. So if the new customers opted out for a free trial or free package, you might want to offer some incentives down the road. So we've seen people who might offer an upgrade at the 5th sequence of the email to a free package for a discount or something of that sort. It's probably best not to push these immediately. You might want to wait a little bit so people don't think that you're pushing the product down their throat right away. You might want to leverage the first few emails of the customer onboarding to explain to them the benefits of using your platform or using your service or buying your product. Perhaps you want to show them the results they might be getting, or taking some case studies in that, for example. That will help you prepare them for the 5th email, which could be an upgrade or highlighting a feature that's a paid feature in your product that they should pay for, and the results that were driven through it thereafter. You should have a series of set up for when contacts become paid. So when somebody converts to a paying customer, what do you do next? In our case, we do have an onboarding program that we use. So really, our communication is it's almost live. We don't send emails post becoming paid. We handhold the whole procedure, but we do use different ways of communicating with the clients. And again, not using self-promotion is important. Now, there is a 411 rule that worked very well for some of the large companies. One of them is Marketo. So they use the first 4 emails for education. The 5th email can be used for a soft sale, and the last email could be a direct sale or a hard sale. So a soft sale can be just highlighting a particular feature, and on that feature's landing page, you might have an option to buy or to schedule a demo. The hard sell could be direct email with a discount if they sign up now. So taking actions immediately. So also the 411 rule, it popularized the Content Marketing Institute, popularized by the Content Marketing Institute for tweets also. So it states that for every self-serving tweet, you should retweet one relevant piece of content and share 4 pieces of relevant content written by others. You don't have to follow this perfectly, but here's how you should do it. So there's a quick chart here of hard promotion and how it should be distributed. So the fourth is the lead nurturing, and this almost combines parts of what we covered before. But the lead nurturing really gather all the data from top of the funnel to bottom of the funnel and guides people through it. Meaning you might have your landing pages set up and people opt in to download an ebook, and that ebook is specific on how to use, let's take for instance, how to use email automation. If somebody wants to learn about email automation, it's not necessarily 90% of the time it's not its own hobby, their own hobby. They want to learn it because they want to apply it. So learning that this person's interest at this point is to learn how email automation work can help us craft a funnel. And that funnel could take them through the procedures thereafter. So after you learn email automation, the second piece of content could be, what is the best practices to apply email automation. I'm giving an example. Now, if they read that second piece of content, I know that they're down the funnel one more step. And then I can guide them through this process all the way to the bottom where I can deliver this to a salesperson and say, this person read 6 pieces of content, they interacted, they know exactly what email automation is. You probably can target this person or reach out to this person, see if they're interested in using our platform. And this can be applied in every single business. Getting this funnel set up, which relies heavily on your content and your strategy and your testing, can be very, very beneficial. And obviously these things and actions they take guide them through the next step of the funnel. And I will show you how funnels could be created in our new interface that I'll be announcing to you towards the end. So you might hear top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. Just to give you the straight up explanation of it, top of the funnel is when somebody just learned about you and they sign up through your landing pages, social media message referrals, and so on. Middle of the funnel is that when you're sending them these interactions and meaty content and case studies. And then the bottom of the funnel, this is where the interest of them making a purchase, they're very close to making a decision. This is what we call the bottom of the funnel. And the content will be less educational at that point and more focused about comparing other brands, case studies, and taking actions immediately. The last type of trigger we'll cover today are re-engagement. So platforms, Vbout, for instance, HubSpot, Marketo, and some of these other platforms can determine inactivity on a particular subscriber. If somebody didn't interact with your emails for 60 days, that could be a client that's slipping through, right? How do you re-engage this client? Now, if you have a large number of subscribers, you do not have the time to measure these metrics. So you rely on software to determine, for instance, the last time if people haven't been active on our platform for 60 days, what we would like to do is send them this follow-up email asking them if everything is okay. Dropbox does this well, where they send you an email, they're saying, we noticed that you signed up to Dropbox for a while ago, but never installed the software. So, this could be like a re-engagement, because most likely if they use Dropbox and didn't download the software, they're not using it to its fullest. So they use this as a re-engagement to wake these people up. So as I mentioned, you determine the number of days of that engagement, and then you can introduce like a exclusive offer to help them get back on the platform. Some companies might offer an incentive or a discount. Some people might offer a free consultation. So yeah, it depends on what you how you position yourself and how you want to communicate with these users. So let's talk about optimization a little bit. A/B testing is big. Everybody uses it. At least every marketer uses it. Everybody hears about it. A lot of people are still afraid of it. However, it's extremely simple to use A/B testing within your ecosystem, whether you're testing your ad variation, your landing pages, your emails, or email automation in general. In this case, I'm going to describe to you quickly how email could be A/B tested. So typically, you set up your subscribers. So let's start with your segments. If you have 100 people you're targeting, you can break this down into 3 groups: Group A, Group B, and then the remainder, which is the winner segment. So out of 100, you're sending 20 emails to the first group, 20 emails to the other group, and then you're waiting on the 60 remainder emails. So when I say you're sending emails, you're testing out either your subject lines, because some subject lines naturally perform better than others, and you don't know until you test. So this will allow you to test subject lines. You can even test content within your email. So if you have, you have a particular image with the smiley face, and then you have another content that does not have an image. We actually like to test these in our emails. And we noticed after a while that emails that have images in them perform much better than emails without images. So you can test the full content of the emails. You can also, to test senders, so sending it from yourself versus the team at your company, sending it from your first name at the company. And you can also test engagement, meaning how much people are reading the email. Are they reading it? Are they deleting it right away? Are they spending a lot of time going through the whole thing? And of course, on conversion, so if somebody made a purchase or not, or took action. So once you've done your testing or you've broken down your segments to 3 segments, now what you can do is choosing the winning version. Is it open, based on the open rate? So if 20 people from, let's go back to screen before. So out of 20 people here, you have 10 opened. Out of 20 people here, you have only 5 open. Now version A wins. That means the system will recognize this copy and will automatically sends it to the winner group. This will become much easier once you apply it. We have a full tutorial on how this could be used, by the way. So if you're still confused, please drop us a line. I'll be more than happy to give you the link to that video and explain to you how it works via a live demo. But the metrics are clear. You choose what's the winning version. You also choose other things like what happens next and the time to wait. Because, if you execute the email now, not everybody opens the email now. You might want to wait, an hour or 2 hours before you measure the performance. So that's A/B testing, done quickly. Now, as far as analytics and metrics, there are tons of things that you can be collecting in your email automation. And I'm going to show you a quick screen of what you can collect. But obviously, you don't know if things are working unless you check the metrics. For instance, we have our own analytics here, which I will show you briefly. So this is an email workflow we have. We have 7 steps. I can see how many of these steps were executed. I can also see how many people at each level, where they are. So I have 4 people are still in the 3rd workflow. And I can also see additional metrics if I want to. I can even see who are these people at every single stage and how many opened, how many failed, how many clicked and subscribed. So, we have a lot of things that are actually, being tracked and measured. And of course, we can click on a particular email and see, for instance, the automation triggers. So this person was part of the automation and went through all the steps and interacted with one of them and opened the email. So metrics can be really robust, and then you can take this and measure it and see the success, tweak your content, add steps, remove steps, and work on it accordingly. So metrics are extremely important. Any software you end up choosing, make sure that you can get the data that you need to improve. this is the same exact picture that I mean the page that I was on, so you can track the opens and so on. All right, so let's talk about some trends in email automation. So obviously, GIF is a huge thing, GIF and video. And because video is still not embeddable in all email clients, people are using animated GIFs more and more. You can either use it if you're small, local moms and pop shops with an animated photo of food, for example. Or you can even use it as a quick demo of your product in action, like the mouse moving to click on a particular button, or maybe opening a pop-up and filling out information. You probably have seen these before, and these can be easily generated. So there's a lot of tools that allow you to generate animated GIFs, which takes a video and makes it into a short, 5-second looping image. If you don't know how to do this, you can Google it, how to create an animated GIF. It's extremely simple. So let's talk also on, take some examples as part of, some of the trends. You have Envision, which is a company we use for our UX team. So every week, Envision sends their best blog content with the best designs that some of their users have built, and they get traffic to this user, and at the same time, we learn of what's being built through the platform. They might send out some surveys, and they mix. I mean, you can see the emails are very simple and clean. Call to action is very clear, and it has an image, and it's also responsive. So you don't really need a lot of time to figure out what the content of the email is, and we do engage with it very, very often. Most of the team do engage with it. So having call to action is important. Having your templates be responsive, it's also extremely important. Clear call to action is critical. So we love this app. Another website that's super, super important, we use and we give it to most of our clients, is goodemailcopy.com. So good email copy is generally this part of all these big brands that have generated automated emails, and you can filter by different brands and see what kind of emails they send out and get inspired by it. So if you are stuck at creating content, you can use goodemailcopy.com and get your hands on some of the best email content that the big brands do in their email automation processes. So you have no excuse as of why you cannot put this together. If you spend 1 hour on this, you can build up a sequence of about 6 emails. And then, of course, if you you have to build up your content to lead people somewhere. Don't just copy, put your own twist and brand to it. You want to stand out a little bit, because some people are out there and they see what's going on. So if you want to copy an email from Dropbox, other people might notice that it's, it's funny because one time I got an email that was copied from another brand, and on the bottom there was signature that the person didn't see, that it has a mention for that other brand. So that was something fun to share with the team. So don't, add your own twist to things that you copy. So I want to end this with the email automation tools you can use. Obviously, there are a lot of tools out there. I'm going to share with you some of the ones that I think are worth looking at. First, you have HubSpot. Okay, if you are at that price point, they have a good automation system. GetDrip was recently acquired by Leads Pages. Autopilot has a great drag and drop interface. Active Campaigns is decent, is a decent tool as well. And you have MailChimp that have some sort of an automation. It's limited, but they do offer it as well. And of course, to promote Vbout, because we are an automation tool at the end of the day, we do have that capability. I think it's important for you to determine exactly the material and the tools you need to use, because email automation alone is not enough. You definitely need other assets and to build out your landing pages. You probably want to do your traditional email campaigns. and maybe you need tracking and you need some social media tools to track people and drag them to your pages. So this determines, based on these activities you're going to be using, which is the best platform to you. And of course, the price point. So, for us, we start free, and then you can upgrade as you grow your company, because we really like people to start working on their campaigns, start building other processes, and as they grow, they should start paying. So our belief is get started, do something today. Uh, any day you postpone this is a day lost. And there's tons of resources on automation. Our team can help you get set up, and there's tons of videos online that are out there that can teach you how to do it. So there's no excuse whatsoever. And there's tons of other tools that you can look into. I just highlighted some of the few that are out there that are worth, or I can fit within one slide at this point. So to conclude this, you always have to start with a good plan, and of course your target market and your client persona. So you do your research on the tools you want to use. If you want to use only drip campaigns, email automation, or you want to use it as part of a larger plan, identify the tools, and you can either use one tool like us or HubSpot, or you can use multiple, 4 or 5 different tools, which I think doesn't make sense if you can use just one to do all. Of course, depends on your preference. And work with your team to develop a strong content strategy, because email automation without content is not going to work. Most of the time, it's not going to work. So you need some sort of a content to send people or drive people to, whether these are automated landing pages, whether these are your blog posts, whether these are ebooks or case studies. So create that content within your strategy and work with your team on building it. And then make sure you use or read your tracking extensively in the beginning, so you can fine-tune the results according to those metrics and tracking that you've collected. So I think with that, we'll conclude this part of the presentation.